Hello everyone, today in this video we'll be discussing the module 3 of SE, which is Agile Development. And after Agile Development we'll be also having a look at two topics, which is regarding the guiding principles for software development. Okay, so without wasting more time, let's get started. Make sure the like button, subscribe to my channel, it helps me make more videos like this. And make sure you watch this video till the end, then easily you can score more than 80% marks. I'll be covering all the topics which you need to know from the exam point of view. So let's get started with the first topic, which is what is an agile process. Okay, since we are discussing about agile development, let's understand what is agile. Okay, so agile means able to move quickly. Okay, means change from one thing to other and easily. The change should not be hard. And in software engineering, the agile process is a process that is able to adapt to changes. If changes are coming, the process should be able to adapt to the changes and continuously improve and deliver results. This kind of process which can easily adapt and change is called as agile process. Okay, so there are 12 principles in that. How many principles are there? 12 principles are there. So let's have a look at each one by one. The first principle is early and continuous delivery to the customers so that customers are satisfied. Second is, since it is agile, we should be able to welcome the changing requirements and deliver on working the software frequently. Means the software should not fail, it should be always working, and the delivery should happen very quickly. Okay, and business people and developers must work together. Okay, the business people are the ones who give the requirements, developers are the one who build that software based on that requirement. They must collaborate with each other and work together. Okay, and the project should be built around motivated individuals. If the team members are not motivated enough and if they're not getting the enough support, they will be doing the project very badly, right? So we have to always support them and motivate them. And there should be face-to-face conversations for avoiding the ambiguities. Working software is the primary measure of success, and agile process should promote sustainable development. Continuous attention to technical excellence. Okay, whichever the technology we are using, that should be of the top quality. Simplicity should be there, and teams should be self-organizing, understanding from their own mistakes and collaborating with with each other, helping and becoming better. Okay, reflect on becoming better. These are the 12 principles on which the agile process is based upon. Okay, there are some human factors are also into consideration. Why we are considering human factors? See, the process are built around the needs of the people and the team. What are the people's need and the team's need? Based on that we are developing our process. So people's need and team come under the human factors. You have to consider the human factors also, right? So process molds around people and their needs, therefore human factors play an important role in shaping the process. So if the process is more human centric, the people will be easily able to follow it. So few of the human factors include that there should be competence. What do you mean by competence? In agile development, the competence means the talent should be there and specific software related abilities the people should be able to solve it. Skill and knowledge of the process should be there. All those things which make a person better, that should be present. Okay, that is one of the human factors, which is competence. Common focus should be there. Since everyone is doing a different thing, they are eventually doing for the same goal, ultimate goal, right? That common focus should be there in all everyone's mind. There should be collaboration, and people should be able to make the decisions quickly. And fuzzy problem solving ability, if any problem comes, how do we approach that problem and solve it? There should be mutual trust and respect among the people, and it should be self organization. Okay, moving to the next topic, which is extreme programming. Now agile process is a methodology. Okay, the methodology's result is extreme programming. Okay, so this is one kind of agile process in which we will be developing high quality software and improving the software developers quality of life. Okay, so software developer need not work with hate. They don't want to develop the product but they're still developing. That should not happen, and it should ensure that the quality of the product which is developed is high quality. These two things are taken care in this type of programming, which is extreme programming. Let's have a look at what is extreme programming. So there are five XP values: communication, simplicity, feedback, courage, and respect. Okay, so communication, we have to have a communication between the people who are working on the project, right? So that what are the requirements between the stakeholders, that should be clear to the ones those who are developing the project. Okay, and it should be as informal as possible to make sure that everyone understands what's going on. And it should be simple. We should only focus on what is immediately needed, not what is needed in the future, that can be done later on. Now simplicity means keep the project as simple as possible and focus on the current needs. Feedback you have to take from the customers, and we can also have the feedback as divided into different parts and assigned to the developers, so that they can have a look at what are the feedbacks and how can the project be improved based on the feedbacks. And these can be in the form of user stories, means one feedback can be one story, means developer takes a learning from it and implements it in the existing project, like that. Okay. And the courage and respect should be there among each other. The people should be able to discipline themselves for doing the project, and there should be respect maintained between the developers, so that the project can be as efficient as possible. XP process consists of four framework activities: planning based on the requirements, designing the project, what we are going to do, the blueprint of the project, then coding the project and testing the project. Okay, same things, whatever we have in all the process, the same things are also present in the XP process also. Industrial XP is an advanced version of XP which focuses on large organizations. Okay, so there are few principles here. There are 6 new features. What are those 6 new features? Readiness assessment: are the people ready, are the requirements ready, can we start the project, the resources are ready or not, that assessment is taken into consideration. Second is project community: a community should be formed for that particular project where people can talk with each other and develop the product. Product chartering, that means analysis of the project, how much the product progress is happening, that one. Okay. Test driven management: once it is developed, the testing should happen so that we can find out any bugs are there or not and fix them. Retrospectives: after we have done all that, visit from to the stage 1, and from there again have a look at till this point, is anything missed or not, is everything according to that which we had planned or not. All these things come into retrospective. And continuous learning: whatever the mistakes we learn, that we have to implement and continue. Okay. Mistakes, whatever we learn from the mistakes, that we have to implement and continue with without making those mistakes again in the future. XP critics: there are some downsides of extreme programming, which is requirements volatility. There is no specific set of fixed requirements, are not there, it is always changing, and sometimes the customer needs can be conflict, that we have to handle. And requirements are expressed informally, we do not have actually what is needed, it can be wrong, ambiguity is there, and the formal design is not there, so it is lack of formal design, that can lead to some standardity problems. Okay, so these are the 4 disadvantages. Moving on to the third topic, which is other agile process models. Okay, one is the which we discussed is the extreme programming. There are few others. Okay, let's have a look at each one by one. The first one is ASD, which is adaptive software development. What do you understand by the term adaptive? Whenever a change comes, the process should be able to change itself so that it satisfies the needs of the changed requirement. Okay, it is a technique used for building complex software and systems. It has 3 phases. First one is speculation, means getting to know what are the requirements present, collaborate with the team, and then implement the project and learn whatever is the feedback from the customers, and again repeat the same thing. That is called as adaptive software development, ASD. Next is Scrum. Scrum means it is a type of methodology where we have a list of things that is needed to be implemented. Okay, like adding a new feature and deleting some new feature and changing the existing feature or changing the color of a website. All these things will be having as a backlog, and each thing will be taking one by one, and it will be for 30 days. Okay, 30 days is called a sprint. Okay, and every day we will be taking the report from the developers: what did you do yesterday, any obstacles you are facing, and what you will do today. These things every day we will take from the developers, and the scrum meeting will be happening for 15 minutes wherein all these things will be discussed, and that will make sure that whether we are on the track or not, and the new functionality will be done in 30 days or not. After the 30 days, when sprint is ended, a new functionality is delivered. This type of repetition is called as scrum. Okay, this is also an agile process model. Third one is dynamic system development method, DSDM. Okay, what happens? Dynamic means always changing, and system development method, it is an always changing system development method built for meeting time constraint requirements. Suppose that there is a project which is urgently required, there is less time present, we are going to use the DSDM here through the use of incremental prototyping. Incremental means one by one the prototype is getting added new things in a controlled project environment. Okay, it follows 80% rule. What do you mean by 80% rule? 80% of the success will be based on 20% of the time needed for 100% of the work. Okay, didn't get what I meant. I'll repeat it. See, what I mean is, suppose that something takes 10 days. Okay, something takes 10 days. That whole project that needs to complete, it takes 10 days. Now, to complete 80% of that project, Okay, 80% of the project I'll just require 2 days to do it. Rest of the 8 days I'll require to complete the remaining 20%. Okay, because 20% remaining one is related to a very detailed specification that will take more time. The 80% of the task is general task only. Only 20% of them will be having more specificity. So 80% will be done in 2 days, 20% will take 8 days. That is called as 80% rule. Okay, so this method will apply the 80% rule and solve the project. So initially we will have a working project within 2 days if it is a 10-day project, but it will not be fully means working. 80% only will be working. Rest 20%, if you want, wait 8 more days. Okay, so what they should do is at least the people can start using 80% of the project instead of waiting for 0% till the 10th day, and then in the 10th day 100% will be there. That will be very bad, right? Because 0% only was there for the first 10 days. On the other hand, in the first 10 days we had 80%, in the last we had 100%, which is more better. Obviously this is more better, right? So this method is also used in some kind of projects. So here we have 5 phases. Feasibility study, is it feasible or not to do? Business study, what is the business requirement? Functional model iteration, what are the functions that the project requires, that we will be adding one by one in the model. Design and build the iteration, means design and build the project, whatever it is required to be done, and then implement it. Okay, next one we have crystal, designed for achieving maneuverability. What do you mean by maneuverability? Ability to change. Okay, change or move from one position to a different position. If you have a project which always moves from one position to different position based on the requirements, you can use the crystal method. It defines core principles. Okay, what it defines? It defines core principles applicable to all roles and process. Okay, that principles which we define, it's applicable to all the roles and process, patterns, work products, practice, and are unique to each other. Okay, it's not important from the exam point of view, and this is just brief information. Okay, moving on to the next one, which is feature driven development, FDD. In the context of feature driven development, what do you mean by a feature? Feature is a client valued function. Okay, client valued function means client's requirement. Client is saying do this, do that. Okay, that do this, do that is called as a feature that can be delivered within 2 weeks or less. Whatever can be delivered within 2 weeks or less is called as a feature. Now the template for defining a feature is given as action. What is the action needed to be performed? Like for example, add, then the result is a product, buy, for, of, to, either one we have to choose. We choose to. A or an object is shopping cart. So the feature is add a product to the shopping cart. That is a feature. So how do we do that? First we develop a model for that, build a features list, what are the features needed to be added, and plan by each feature one by one, design the feature and build by the feature. After that we will deliver it. Okay, and it will be in 2 weeks or less. Then in that case we will go with the FDD, which is feature driven development, based on the features we are developing one by one. Next is the lean software development. This is also very important. Here we have the lean development principles. So what are the lean development principles? Eliminate waste, the useless task, first eliminate that from the requirements. Build quality in, take time, build a quality project. Keep only the things which deliver quality one. Create knowledge, spread knowledge, and share the knowledge with others. Educate others what is needed to be done, and be clear on what are the main goal we are working on. Defer commitment, always be committed to the project, deliver it fast, respect people, and optimize the whole. After planning everything, optimize it as much as possible. That are the lean software development principles. Next is the agile modeling, means always changing. It is adapting to the always changing requirements. Okay, so the following principles are present. Model with a purpose. There should be a purpose in which for which we are modeling it, and use multiple models to describe different perspectives. And travel light means don't take a large huge stuff at a time, divide it into smaller tasks, and take each task at a time. Okay, content is more important than representation. What you represent, that doesn't matter anything. You have to have the content in the project. Know the models and the tools you use to create them. Okay, you have to be aware of the models and the tools. Adapt locally means it should be easily usable to everyone who is going to use the project. Okay, this is about the agile modeling. Last one we have agile unified process. AUP iteration addresses the following activities: modeling, model the project, implement the project, test it, deploy it to the customers, and configuration and project management should be there after the deployment, and also environment management should be there. The environment in which the project is deployed, the configuration which is present, and the project itself is to be managed. Okay, that is handled in the AUP, agile unified process. Moving on to the next topic, which is core principles. Okay, this is the second last topic. Core principles means what? Software engineering is guided by a collection of core principles. Okay, the whole software engineering, it is guided by core principles that help in application of a meaningful software process. The software process which you are doing, it will be meaningful, and execution of effective software engineering methods. To guide the software engineering for an effective and meaningful process, we use the core principles. So let's understand the principles that guide the process. Be agile, focus on the quality at every step, be ready to adapt to the changes, build an efficient team. The team is very important. What the team does: establish mechanisms for effective communication and collaboration. The effective communication and collaboration should be there. Manage the change, whatever change comes, how do you manage it? And obviously the risk will be there. How do you handle the risk when any problem comes, and what solution is the best to go for? And create the work product that provide value for others. Don't simply create products for the name's sake. Create some products which actually provide value for others. Okay, those are the principles that guide the process. Keeping these principles in mind, we design the process. Okay, and principles that guide practice. After the process, we will have to build the product. For building the product, we need practice, right? So what are the principles that guide the practice? Divide and conquer means whatever the task is there, first divide into multiple tasks, then conquer each one by one, means complete each one by one. Understand the use of abstraction. Abstraction means you will be having a brief idea without having any technical descriptions about what is the main goal. Okay, abstraction helps us to make the tasks more easier and simplified and easy to understand. Strive for consistency, because consistency pays. If you develop a product one day and for 1 week you leave and you develop again, it will not be delivered in proper time. You have to have consistency that will be taking the product very smoothly till the end. Forms on the transfer of information. Okay, transfer of information is necessary between the developers. Build software that exhibits effective modularity. Modularity again is the same thing, which is divide and conquer. Based on the small modules, we'll be developing each one. And look for the patterns. What does patterns help us in? Patterns helps us in solving the same problem again without thinking of the solution. Once we had a problem, okay, and we know its solution, keep that solution. If any other problem comes which is similar to this problem, obviously the solution will also be similar. So therefore look for the patterns and save the solutions. Represent problem and solution from different perspectives, because every customer looks the problem from a different perspective. We should have as many perspectives as possible to make the product more and more reliable. Remember that someone will maintain the software, so make software easier to maintain. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, which is principles that guide the framework activity. Here we'll be discussing each of the activities which are present and what are the principles which are present inside it. Okay, so any of the five for each of these activity you have to remember from the exam point of view, and those five if you write, you'll be easily getting more than 80% marks. Okay, so that may be sufficient, because remembering all is not possible. We'll be discussing the ones which are easier ones. Okay, so I'll be going through each of them and you can figure out what is easier one for you. So let's get started with the first one. In communication. Okay, for the communication, what are the principles we need to follow? What do you mean by communication? Between the customers and the stakeholders, I mean the customers and the developers, there should be communication so that requirements are clear. Means what the customer requires and what the developer is developing, both should be same, right? So that's why we need communication. For that, the first principle is listen. Okay, listening is important to understand what the other party is saying. Okay, and prepare before communication. What you're trying to communicate, you should prepare before that. Someone should facilitate the activity of communication between the customer and the developer, and there should be face-to-face communication to avoid ambiguity. Take notes and document decisions. Strive for collaboration. Stay focused. If something is unclear, draw a picture and explain it to the other party. Move on if it is not working. If it is working, move on. If it is unclear, move on and take it up at later point of time, but don't get stuck at any point of time. Negotiate for a win-win situation. That is only what is matters. If it is not a win-win situation, negotiation is waste. Okay, next one is planning. How do we plan? What are the things you need to keep in mind? Understand the scope of project. What is the project about? First understand that. Involve the stakeholders during the planning, because stakeholders are the one for whom you are developing the project. Recognize planning is iterative. One by one it will happen, step by step. Estimate how much you know. Based on what you know, what are the risks you can define, and be realistic. Adjust the granularity, means in which level you are trying to plan, in the higher level or the lower level, and how you intend to ensure quality, how you'll ensure that the quality is present, how you'll plan for that, and how do you accommodate if changes are coming, and track the progress. All these things are required for the planning. Okay, next is the modeling. For modeling, there are Requirements, in which first we have to identify the requirements. After the requirements are ready, we will be modeling a process such that following it we'll be able to build the product. Okay, so how do we define the model? Primary goal is to create software, not models. Okay, we should not focus on creating the best model. We have to create a model based on what is the software's requirement is there. Okay, primary goal is to create the software, right? For that only we need models to create the software, so focus on the software. Travel light, don't take more models than you need. Travel light means take only as much models as it is required. Strive to produce simplest model for the problem. The model as simple as possible, that is the best. Model should be changeable. If because changes are coming, a model should be accommodating changes, and the purpose should be clear. It should be adaptable, and the model should be useful. The content should be given more priority than the representation. What the model does is more important than what it says it does. Okay, so if it says it does this and this, but it is doing more than that, that is more valuable. Don't focus on showing telling what you can do. Instead focus on doing more than what you told you could do. Okay, trust your subconscious. See, in this case what happens is sometimes you build a model and you feel that it might not be right. Okay, what happens actually is based on our experience in our subconscious mind, we'll be able to figure out some errors in that. That one will not be explicitly known to us, it will be happening in the subconscious mind, so we feel that it is not right. Okay, you have to trust your subconscious in that case, because in subconscious the things which are not clearly visible in our eyes, that will be calculated in the subconscious, and that one is that which we will be feeling. Okay, so based on that, our experience, we should test the subconscious and get the feedback from the customers and make the model more better. After you have done the modeling, and you will be able you have to start with the implementation, right? You have to start developing the project, means coding and the testing and then deployment. So in that we have the two things: requirements are to be designed and the design has to be made. Okay, so requirements, what should be there is, should be understandable whatever the requirement is there, and it must be defined. Behavior must be represented, how the requirements are going to behave in the system, and uncover details and focus on more details. So focus on more details, and it should be understandable and defined. Okay, and after the requirements, we'll be using those requirements to design the model. For that, we need to able to design in such a way that it should be traceable to the requirements. Based on the requirements, the design, it should be able to understand that this design is for this requirement, this design is for this requirement, and so on. Architecture should be good, design of data is important, interface and UI should be friendly, user friendly. Component should be independent of function, as well as component should be independent of each other components, because if something should fail, the other should be not dependent on it, so that it will also fail again. Everything should be independent. Okay, and it should be understandable, and strive for simplicity during designing. Okay, after designing is done, we have to start the implementing, which means we will be doing the construction. It includes two things: coding and testing. For coding, you need to understand the problem. Okay, first understand what the problem is, pick a programming language, start writing a set of unit tests. After the code is written, we have to test if it is passing the test cases. Consider the pair programming, call a friend and start programming with your friend, so that in the same time more accurate code can be generated. And select the data structure you're going to use and the algorithms. Keep the logic simple. Test, validate and refactor if any errors are there. After the coding is done, you have to do the testing. Testing should be traceable to the customer's requirements. Again, the same thing, the requirements whatever is there, that should be the ones which we are going to test. And the testing should be done in advance. The planning for the testing should be done in advance. And 80% of the test errors usually happen because of 20% of the component. This is an observed fact. And test from small to large. Okay, small things we have to test first, then we have to test the large things. Exhaustive testing is not possible. Why? Because there it will require an exponentially large amount of time. Means all the possible combinations which can go as an input, that cannot be tested, right? So we have to focus smartly on what can cover most of the things. Okay, after the testing is done, we'll deploy the project, and this is the last one: deployment principles. What are the deployment principles? Let's have a look. Customer expectation from the software must be managed. Okay, whatever the customer says, it must be managed. Complete the delivery package should be assembled and tested. Okay, the complete delivery package, the whole project should be delivered and tested. Okay, whole means A to Z. Support regime and must be established before the software is delivered. Support regime means if any error comes, there should be a support team that has to be established. The support team has to be established. Appropriate instructional materials must be provided for them to get started with your using your project. And buggy software should be fixed first, delivered later. This means that suppose there is some bug, because of that bug the customer is facing a lot of issue using that product. Okay, instead of solving a bug which the customer is using, you are trying to make the quality of the product more better, make the UI more better and add new features. That is not required as of now. What is required now is the testing. The bug has to be fixed now, because customer will not remember that you provided a better UI, but the customer will remember you had not helped during when the bug was coming. So that will be more remembered. So focus first on solving the problems, then enhance the features. Okay, that's all. If you found this video helpful, please do like and subscribe. That helps me make more videos like this. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.